CEO of Lighthouse Streaming, and you're watching Centex Sports Network.
This is why you need Centex Primetime. Jalen Gillis brings the realness. Dive into the heart of sports with the most passionate commentary around. From pro to high school, Jalen's got the insight and energy you crave. Catch all the action weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Centex Sports Network, only on YouTube. Join the conversation and elevate your sports knowledge with Centex Primetime. Don't miss it.
Hello and welcome back into Centex Primetime. I am your host, Jalen Gillis, getting ready to bring you through the primetime topics in sports, not just here in the Central Texas area, but from all around the nation. We want to thank everybody for tuning in with us here today on Centex Primetime, whether that is on YouTube, Centex Sports TV/Centex Sports Network over on YouTube. Go on there and check us out. Subscribe, hit that subscribe button, like and share the stream as well. Also, you can watch with us on Facebook. And as always, make sure you guys go and check out our website, centexsportsnetwork.com. Well, folks, we're halfway through the week. As we've got a lot to talk about, we'll talk some more NFL today. NFL preseason kicks right back off on Friday, just a couple of days away from that. We'll talk some updated injury news, as unfortunately it's the preseason, and that is a part of it, as we see some guys battling through some injuries. We'll also talk about Baylor's injury to their running back room. Can these young guys step up in their room? Coach David Randa talked a little bit about it as well today. We'll also go through some quick takes and some other things going on around the world of sports, and we'll get you guys ready for preseason week 2 while also talking about some teams for this upcoming season. A lot of teams have some pressure on them this year in the NFL. We'll talk about a few of those teams here today, folks. So we got plenty to talk about here on Centex Primetime. We'll jump right into it. Joining me here today on the table, we see him here every week, the WISD Hall of Famer, the former Texas Tech Red Raider, and also former San Diego Charger, Mr. Wayne Walker, in the building with us. Wayne, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, Jalen? Central Texas.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Wayne, we're going to jump straight into it. The Browns obviously have been in the headlines like they are all offseason now after they went and got the services of Shedur Sanders. Well, Shedur did not practice today. He's actually battling through an oblique injury. He did not take any reps. Wasn't anything serious like he had to be carted off or anything. They watched him. They had the videos of him warming up before practice. You can see some discomfort there whenever he was throwing the ball. That oblique seems to be a little bit sore as of right now. So Coach Stefanski said he is day-to-day as of right now. No destination on will he play or not this weekend as they get ready to take on the Eagles. He didn't practice in their joint practice with the Eagles today, but they'll see about will he play this weekend. Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco are already considered to be out for this weekend's game. So if Shedur does not play, looks like it's going to be the Dillon Gabriel show. First week in preseason, we got Shedur for 3 quarters, and then Huntley came in to mop up the rest of the time. If Shedur doesn't play this weekend, it's going to be Dillon Gabriel's shot. Now, Dillon Gabriel did participate in practice, as they always put out the QB trackers and different things like that. And before the injury news came out, everybody online was upset and saying, well, Shedur didn't get any reps today. What's going on? Then we figured out he was battling an injury. But none of the quarterbacks look good in practice today, according to the QB tracker. I think Dillon Gabriel was like 4 for 16, something like that, in practice today. Joe Flacco didn't have that great of a day in practice as well. But they're playing against the Super Bowl champs in practice too, so maybe that has something to do with it as well. But we're going to see a lot more of Dillon Gabriel this upcoming weekend as they get ready to play the Philadelphia Eagles, I believe, at 1 o'clock on Saturday. Wayne, what do you think about Shedur's injury and him not practicing this week, and then Dillon Gabriel getting his shot to kind of take off this weekend?
Well, doing training camp, you're going to get nicks and knacks.
Yeah.
You're practicing continuously, so you're going to get nicks and knacks, but it's a good time for him to get injured coming off a game like he came off of in his first preseason game. It would make it a lot worse if he would have went out and went 5 for 20 in the game and did bad. So, I mean, you only as good as your last game. That's what they say. Mm-hmm. So his last game was a good one. So, hey, man, I mean, you're going to get nicked up and you're going to get a little banged up doing preseason and training camp. So it's one of those injuries where it affects his throwing. So it's going to take a few days for him to get well, so we'll see what happens. And as far as Gabriel, I mean, here's your opportunity. And Shedur made the most of his, so now we're going to see what he can do. You got drafted higher, so your expectations are a little bit higher. Yep. So, we'll see what happens, man. It's that quarterback situation in Cleveland is a little funny right now.
It's definitely real funny. Flacco is the projected starter, and I still think Flacco is going to be the day one starter.
Oh yeah, and he should be.
And he should be. He's as of right now, he's definitely the best quarterback in that room for sure. He's got the most experience as well to go along with it. So he's not going to see much time in preseason because he's 40 years old. Not going to play a 40-year-old guy out there in preseason a lot of minutes just for him to get hurt. And especially when his whole contract is guaranteed. If he gets hurt, he's just going to go home and he doesn't care what happens. He's going to get his money regardless, whether they win or whether they don't win, whether he plays or doesn't play. So Joe Flacco is smooth in this situation.
And he's a veteran. He's a veteran, Jalen. So when you're a veteran, I mean, you know how to read defenses.
Yeah.
You know all the progressions. You know pretty much everything. So to get ready for preseason, maybe he needs a couple of series, maybe play him 2 or 3 series and then take him out just so he can get acclimated and get up to game speed for the season. But other than that, he don't need much. So he should be the starter. And these guys that are playing behind him, none of them are proven guys.
No.
Shedur went out and proved what he could do in preseason, but everybody's making a big deal. Yeah, when they game plan for you and you got live bullets coming at you and they rushing and they blitzing, it's a whole different ball game. Everything right now is vanilla. They're playing basic defenses, so you really it's good for you to make the most of those opportunities because it's just throwing catch. It's just throwing catch, and that's what they're kind of doing now. So we'll see what happens, but now it's Dylan Gabriel's time, and we'll see what he's going to do.
Yeah, it's Cam Newton talked on his podcast. He said week 1 of preseason is really just a glorified practice. He says practice with some more people out there. You're going to see 2 or 3 coverages from the defenses. There's no install. Same thing for the offense. There's no installs with 4 or 5 checks for this different thing. It's all going to be pretty bland going out there, especially the first week of preseason. So, you expect some of those things to happen out there. We've seen some quarterbacks that still struggled in week 1 of preseason, even with the coverages being vanilla and stuff like that. Gabriel's in an interesting spot right now. He's battling injury. I mean, similar to what you just said about Shedur, it'd be completely different if he played bad and then gets hurt. Well, Dylan Gabriel hasn't got to play at all and was hurt, and now he gets a chance where he might have to play almost the entire game after coming off of an injury. So we're going to figure out a lot about Dylan Gabriel in this week 2. Teams are going to ramp things up a little bit more as far as their players. Maybe not the plays exactly, but we're going to see more starters playing in week 2. They only get 3 preseason games now, so in the second game, you're going to see more starters playing. Right. Dylan Gabriel had to play against those guys, man. So we'll see what it does for him. And then Pickett is kind of really on the outside looking in. He's the guy that probably is just going to get dangled for trade bait or possibly even getting cut because he hasn't been able to get on the field yet because of a hamstring injury. He hasn't shown anything in the last couple of years that makes teams, want to go and grab him or say he could be a prove-it kind of starter guy because he didn't look too great in a better situation than Pittsburgh Steelers. Last year he had some okay moments when he played for the Philadelphia Eagles and was able to win a Super Bowl, but he's kind of the odd man out right now in that quarterback room because he hasn't been able to get on the field.
Yeah, and he has a lot to prove. I mean, he was a starter in Pittsburgh. He didn't do well, got traded, left on bad terms with Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. So now you got another opportunity. So now you want to make the most of your opportunities to prove to people that you can play, and he hadn't been able to prove that as of yet. So yeah, he is a guy that's, and then you have Shedur that came in and looked pretty good. So now the pressure is on you, and the pressure is to stay healthy. Like you wasn't even in the game and you got hurt. So
yeah,
I mean that says a lot.
Yeah.
So he's the guy that has more pressure on him than anyone. Even the younger guys can stay around and probably be on the practice squad or practice roster, get picked up by another team. And Pickett probably will too because the NFL is with quarterbacks. They just kind of they just merry-go-round. It's a merry-go-round of quarterbacks, and so he'll probably get that opportunity again. But I mean, those chances run out too. So this is a great opportunity for Pickett, but he's not taking he's not making the most of it.
Mm-hmm.
So this was opportunity for him to come in and be a starter, and he hadn't even had a chance to be on the field yet. So
yeah, his chances are really getting hurt right now. By the more he stays injured, I thought maybe they'll sit him out week 1, and then week 2 he practiced earlier this week, so it must have been some type of setback, or maybe they just said, hey, he still doesn't feel comfortable out there and doesn't look like he's ready because he practiced earlier in the week. Now he's not practicing, and now he's already getting ruled out for week 2 as well. So like you said earlier, the Browns, this is an interesting quarterback situation. Everybody's battling some type of injury. Most of them have something to prove. Only one that doesn't have something to prove is Joe Flacco. Like I said earlier, he's already got a Super Bowl. He's already had his career. His career is already finished. This is gravy on top. If they cut him, he's gonna get his $3.5 million. He's gonna go back and play with his kids at home. And
And they went and signed him off the couch.
Yeah,
he was on the couch, heading into his new career. So I mean, it's just a little bit more gravy on the meat for him.
Yeah.
So, but he's gonna be their starter. It's those other guys that really have to prove themselves right now, and Kenny Pickett is the guy that really needs to prove himself because he's already had opportunity and he's failed with that opportunity. So now you're hurt, and then you got guys that are behind you. And if Dylan Gabriel goes out and do well this weekend, then I would probably say that Kenny Pickett is going to be the odd man out, and that's going to be the guy that they get rid of. So he needs to get healthy and be able to prove something on the field right now.
Yeah, he's got to, because the worst thing that can happen is Dylan Gabriel goes out here and has a good game as well, and then Shedur doesn't play, so all he has is his resume of the first game. That was a good game. That leaves you at the bottom of the pecking order, and I don't see the Cleveland Browns going into the season with 4 quarterbacks on the roster. And one of those guys is going to be the odd guy out, and right now, that looks like Kenny Pickett. As of right now, Dylan Gabriel, he's got to go out there and prove himself and see can he play, because like you said, these guys are getting hurt, and they haven't even played in the game yet. Gabriel, his biggest question on him is his size. And you already getting hurt before we even get out there into the real deal practices, or into the real deal games. It's going to be interesting quarterback competition for them coming up. Like I said, they play at 12 o'clock this weekend. The Browns will be taking on the Eagles. They play on Saturday. Want to talk about one of the other teams here in the NFL. We'll be talking some NFL here today on Centex Primetime. We played the videos out for you guys yesterday with Jerry Jones on the blue carpet. They said it wasn't a red carpet. They had a blue carpet out for their premiere of his new movie, docuseries, whatever they want to call it, on Netflix, called America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys. They had a movie premiere this is all crazy. To have a movie premiere in the middle of training camp about your team, and the owners going out there, and he's got players out there, former players out there, causing distractions, as Emmitt Smith said. But Jerry Jones, in his comments, talking about all of this, said that the Cowboys are a soap opera, 365 days a year. He said that when there's no drama, he's going to stir up some drama to make it happen. He said there's nothing wrong with a little bit of controversy. These are all things that you would never want to hear your owner of your team say, your coach. And the worst part about it, he's not just the owner. He's also the GM. He's also the president of operations. Sometimes he might even be the head coach. I mean, he makes so many decisions and wears so many hats for the team, pretty much admitting to all of us what we've been new and what we've been saying, that this is more about ratings for Jerry Jones. This is more about conversation and staying relevant for Jerry Jones than it is winning. I don't know if anybody told him that if he wins, that they will be even more relevant and talked about even more. But he said, hey, I might as well just go out here and get us talked about, keep us relevant, keep us in people's mouths, so we'll be able to get talked about every single week like we do on this show, like they do on every single show that talks sports. They talk about the Dallas Cowboys at some point. Wayne, what was your thoughts when you heard his comments from a couple of nights ago about the Cowboys being a soap opera? It was his own words.
He's the leading man, the leading actor. He's the leading actor.
Yeah.
It's some guys that want attention and it's some guys that don't. There's some guys that want to be seen and there's some guys that don't want to be seen. He's one of those guys that want to be seen. Mm-hmm. He said it himself today. You know, he want to keep it rep. You know, he want to keep everybody, the Cowboys, in everybody's name and on everybody's mind. He likes to create drama, and clearly he's doing that with this Michael Parsons contract negotiations, and he knows eyes on him. He knows people are talking about him, but he doesn't care. This is his team. He's the owner. Like you say, he's the general manager, sometime the coach, and president of team operations. So he gets to do what he wants to. This is his baby. This is his toy. And he wants to keep the Cowboys on everybody's mind and on everybody and in everybody's eyes. So he's the leading guy. He's the leading actor. And he portrays that. He portrays that week in and week out, Jalen.
Every single week.
We talk about him more than we talk about C.D. Lamb.
Yeah, by far.
You know,
by far.
We talk about him more than we talk about Dak Prescott.
This is crazy.
And he ain't played a damn. You know,
ain't threw a ball, haven't done anything.
He just signing checks, man.
That's
He's
it.
signing checks, and man, we have to. I mean, I heard Denzel
on First Take yesterday.
On First
yeah,
Take, and you know, it was surprising to me that he was a big Cowboy fan. I didn't know that. But
all these New York guys as Cowboy fans. Something's going on with
something
that.
Wrong with that, man. Yeah, man. You know, but I'm not a Cowboy fan, and I'm right here from Texas. You know, an hour and a half away. But man, he even mentioned it. When you got people just constantly talking about you, and you're not even the player, then that's a problem for your team, man. That's a problem for your team, man. Jerry Jones, man. I know they came out with how much they were worth, $12 billion or something like that. Man, just go ahead and sell this team for $15 billion and get out the way.
Get out of there.
And get out the way and let somebody else runs it that wants to win, because at the end of the day, that's what you should be trying to do, and you should be trying to win. And clearly, he doesn't want to win. If you're not signing your best players and you're not locking them up, because this Michael Parsons' contract should have been done 2 years ago.
Oh, man.
You know, Dak's contract should have been done 2 years before his got done. CD's, same way. But then you take a team out of your same division, the Philadelphia Eagles, that goes in and locks up their players and pays their players and treats them well.
Does it the right way.
And does it the right way. And that's why they have a ring. And that's why you don't hear everybody talking about Harry Roseman. You talk about him in a positive way, him paying his players and him being a players type of GM, compared to Jerry Jones, who people create this negative connotation about and these negative comments about him, and him wanting to be seen and not wanting to pay his players. So it's a negative thing all the way around for Jerry. You need to stay out of the way. Go on, sell a team, do what you need to do, get you about $15 billion, and then and ride off into the sunset like a real cowboy would do.
Yeah. Just like a cowboy. That's how the movie should end. I don't know how the movie ends on this America's team, the gambler and the cowboy. Well, he should definitely ride off to the sunset.
Right, I mean,
it's
the sunset,
all these guys. You got 53 guys out there that are trying as hard as they can to win. You got 20-plus coaches trying as hard as they win. You got 20-plus guys in the front office personnel trying their hardest to win. And it's all being negated by one guy's actions and comments, and that's Jerry Jones. I mean, it's almost hard to see. You got to trot Dak out there. That's why Dak says the same stuff every year. Because what y'all want me to say? I'm going to try as hard as I can to win every year, and he's going to not pay my top guys. He's going to not structure the type of roster that we need to have, and he's going to come and talk about it after every single game. If I throw a pick, he's going to say, well, we got to figure out how to stop throwing picks. But he can't say, we got to figure out how to get our owner out the media, or else he's not going to have a job if he says that.
Right.
So, I mean, they're getting put in a tough situation.
But what other team?
In sports, not just football, in sports.
The owner's being talked about more than the players.
I can't even name majority of the owners. They
Only
did
the
that.
Cowboys.
They did that list of the valuations. I can't even name most of the owners for those other teams.
Exactly. They stay out the way. They let their GMs do their jobs. They let their scouting departments do their job. They let their coaches do their job. But with the Cowboys, man, you got a guy that's kind of micromanages his players, micromanages his coaches and his whole organization, and it's not good. It's not good for football.
It's not. I mean, you got a guy that hasn't played a down of football, taken a snap, or read a play since the 60s when he played football for the Arkansas Razorbacks.
For the Razorbacks.
That's the last time that he read, ran, or did anything with the play of the football, but he makes decisions on who's going to be there. He's making personnel decisions. I don't think that Kroenke, who owns multiple sports teams, he owns the Rams, he owns the Nuggets, and he owns a couple other teams as well. I believe their hockey team in L.A. I don't think he makes any personnel decisions. And he's one of the richest people in the world, or richest owners in the world, owns multiple sports franchises because he stays out the way. I'll make some decisions on where some money will get spent, how to allocate funds. I'm not going to make a decision on should we keep a long snapper or should we keep a fourth quarterback. Right. He's not going to make those decisions. Right. But Jerry Jones is making those decisions.
He's making those decisions. He's making those decisions, man.
And that is a problem. I mean, that is a problem.
Yeah, and he has his hands on everything in that organization. Any deal that gets done, when they did the Miller Lite deal at Cowboy Stadium, guess who was there? Who did that? Yep. Jerry Jones orchestrated that. The parking deal they did at the stadium, Jerry Jones, he has his hands in everything piece of business with the Cowboys, and all he should be doing is writing checks, pretty much.
Especially at this point. Maybe if you wanted to do that in 95 after y'all won a couple chips and you got rid of Jimmy, you felt like you could do it. Okay, you tried it for a decade, it didn't work. You tried another decade, didn't work. Here we are going on 3 decades of it not working. You're 3 decades older than you were.
30 years and you hadn't won a Super Bowl, man. It's been over 30 years and you hadn't won a Super Bowl.
It's really strange to see, man. But at least he was honest and said that he told us the truth about, hey, I'm going to make it be some drama when it ain't no drama. If ain't nobody talking about us, I'm going to make sure that they talk about us. Unfortunately, it just hasn't resulted in any wins for his team. The Cowboys, they play again this weekend as well in preseason game. You know, this is kind of a not a prove-it year, but there's a lot of guys that have some things to prove on the Cowboys this year. I've obviously said Dak Prescott, you're going into your 10th year as a starter. He's got some things he wants to prove, and he didn't get a chance to play last year. You got their defense. You got the new head coach, and Brian Schottenheimer, who's saying, hey, I'm not just trying to be an assistant coach in the league for 40 years. I want to get my shot, get my bite at the apple. Finally gets it after all these years. What is he going to go out there and do? Unfortunately, all these headlines off the field that Emmitt Smith even spoke about on the blue carpet and said that these are all just distractions. All of this is a distraction. It has nothing to do with football, and the football players shouldn't be worried about any of the stuff that's going on over here. They should be worried about football.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But it's hard to do that when every time you turn, you can't even search the word Cowboys on any social media or anything you have without seeing something about that new movie coming out, something about what Jerry Jones' latest comments is going to be. So it's a lot to deal with. It's a lot to deal with for the Cowboys this upcoming season, playing in a tough division.
Man,
one of the toughest.
In a division where 2 of your opponents in your division played in an NFC Championship game.
Yep. Arguably your two biggest rivals.
Yeah. So and those teams are only going to get better. Mm-hmm. You know, one has a ring and one went to the NFC Championship game, and they played against each other. So, I mean, you are in limbo right now. You got to place a new running back. You got a new receiver that came in. You couldn't stop the run last year, and your defense was trash. Defense was trash. I think the offense is going to be better.
Oh, yeah.
But that defense is still going to be unproven because you lost DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah.
You lost some guys on that side of the ball. And I don't know what's going to happen with the Cowboys, man, but that's what we need to be focusing on instead of focusing on Jerry Jones and what he's got going on.
Yeah. The defense is the biggest question mark on this Cowboys team, and the best player on the defense isn't even at practice right now because they can't get a contract done.
A young player,
26 years old.
One of the best players in the league, and he shouldn't even be going through this. And he's the man of the trade. And what if he says, hey, I want to be traded or I'm not playing anymore, and then he kind of pushes their hands and say, hey, this is what I want or I'm not playing. He's still going to get paid. He's going to get paid regardless.
He's
So I don't even know
regardless.
why we're creating all this drama. So, I mean, but it's Jerry Jones. That's who he is.
He, like I said before, there's no winning in this situation for Jerry Jones as opposed when it comes to the Micah contract. Either you're going to pay him or somebody else is going to pay him. But there's not going to be a win for you where he just says, well, you know what, Jerry, I'll take another $20 million off of there. I'll play for cheap. That's not going to happen. So you might as well go ahead and get it over with. If you'd have paid him, like I said, 6 months ago, he'd have been $20 million cheaper. Now what are you going to wait to? You're going to wait till next year and he's going to be another $10, $15 million on top of that. So come on, man. You got to get this deal done. Let's make it about football going into this. Your movie's coming out. You got that out the way. Let's get past that and try to make it somewhat about some type of football going into this upcoming season. We're going to touch some more on the NFL here in just a second. I want to talk a couple of local topics here. We brought it up yesterday on the show. Dawson Pendergrass's injury for the Baylor Bears at the running back spot. Huge for them this year. He averaged 5.5 yards a carry for them. He's a big back that really gave him that thunder and lightning type of deal in the backfield last year between Bryson Washington and himself. But they did get 2 4-star running backs this year coming in as true freshmen that Coach Aranda says they're going to have to come out here and play this upcoming season. They're going to compete for that backup spot. 2 bigger backs, Michael Turner, who really had a great high school career out of North Richland Hills here in the Texas area. He's coming in at 6 foot 220. He's a bigger back that can kind of take some of that load off of Bryson Washington. Caden Knighton, another bigger back that they got this year as well, coming in as a true freshman. Wayne, you're a guy that competed in this Big 12 as a true freshman. What is it like trying to make that adjustment coming straight out of high school as these young backs are going to have to play for Baylor this upcoming year?
Man, football is football.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to make the most and the best of your opportunities. So when a guy gets hurt, it's we always call it next man up. Mm-hmm. It's next man up.
Yeah.
So now you got to be hungry. Now you got to go in and you got to go grind and you got to go see who's going to be that guy that's going to do it. Because you're going to get opportunities to do it, but you have to make the most of your opportunities. And, man, that's why they recruit every year.
Yeah.
That's why they recruit. They recruit every position every year. And they bring in new guys. And, man, when you get that opportunity, you have to make the most of your opportunities. And I remember watching Drew Bledsoe get hurt when he was with New England.
Patriots.
And Tom Brady came in and man, the rest is history, right?
Exactly.
Never got that position back.
Never got it back.
And so that's how things go. That's even with Tony Romo and Dax.
Yep, never got it back.
You have to make the most of your opportunities. You have to go out there and make them work for you. No doubt that so it's next man up, and we'll see what happens, man. I mean, that's unfortunate a guy got hurt, but when it does happen, you have to make the most of your opportunities and go out there and do what you can do.
Yeah, they talked to the starting running back, Bryson Washington, about it, and he said, hey, man, I feel sorry for Dawson, but it's next man up. Like he said the same words as you, Wayne. It's football, so it's next
football,
guy up.
Man.
He can't sit around and sulk about, man, I wish we had this guy, and everybody's going to get some key injuries going into the season.
The ultimate team sport, man.
Yeah, you need everybody.
You need everybody. That's why they call it execution.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to go out and execute, because if one guy makes one mistake, then it's not execution, because it could be the perfect snap. The receiver can run the best route and be open, but if one lineman doesn't block his man or take care of his man, it kills a whole play, and that's called no execution.
Yeah.
So you didn't execute. But if everybody executes, it's the ultimate team sport. Everybody go out and they execute, and everybody takes care of their job. It's a fabulous thing, man. And when you look at it in film, it's so great. So when you have those opportunities to come in and be a part of that, and to be a part of that 11-man rotation on offense that makes that offense click, you just have to make the most of your opportunities, guy. And it's a tremendous opportunity for 2 freshmen to come in and get that opportunity, and we'll see what plays out throughout the season. So now it's time to work hard, and these 2 guys are battling against each other. Maybe they do, maybe they come in and both of them are valuable, and both of them get a little time. So we'll see what happens, man. But it's next man up, man. So
like you said, they recruit these guys for a reason.
Yeah,
They recruit you to play the football. So it's time. It might just be a little bit earlier than what some people expected, but I expect these guys to come out and play great as well. I like both of those additions when they sign those guys. So seeing them get a chance to go out here and play early should be special for them. And then they don't have to carry the whole load. Bryson Washington's still one of the best running backs coming back in college football. To start, you still got Sawyer Robertson and different guys that could take some pressure off of him. So it'll be interesting for them. The interesting part about it is they don't get a chance to ease into the schedule for Baylor. You got the first 4 weeks are going to be serious for you. You got Samford one of those 4 weeks, but the 3 of those other 4 weeks you got Auburn, SMU, and Arizona State. So it's not going to be any easing into the season for the Baylor Bears. But I expect them to bounce back from this, man. And like you said, this next guy up. Preparation meets opportunity. That's what this is right here.
Right,
if those guys are prepared, we'll
right,
see it.
right.
They're going to get their opportunity. We're going to see it. Same like we just spoke about with Dylan Gabriel. We're going to see if that preparation meets opportunity.
And a lot goes into that, Jalen. It's like pass protection, blitz protection. It's just not going out and getting the ball and running up the field. It's a lot goes into being a running back. I mean, you have to know what protects. You got to know motions. You got to know what you do on every play. You got to know blitz pickup. You got to know blitz routes, and you have to know all of that. So a lot of times it's not the most talented guy that gets the position. Mm-hmm. A lot of times it's the guy that knows what he's doing the most that's going to get that position, because it's so important that you know how to pick up blitzes, you know how to block, you know where you're going and what you're doing. So it changes every. You spoke about it, it's the ultimate team sport. Everybody's got to be involved. Everybody's got to have to play a piece. I think that's what makes why I say Tom Brady 7 rings. I have to put that almost above everybody else in every other sport, because to win in football requires so much. Like you just said, if one person misses one block, we go from 2nd and 2 to 3rd and 11. That changes the game. Yeah. And that game could change your season. So it's so much that can happen that goes into every single individual play with football, and you need so many different people to be on one page. Yeah, you have to be dependable. You have to be dependable, especially as a running back, because there's so much goes into it. It's not just getting the carry, getting the handoff, and running the ball. Man, the biggest part of a running back's game is that blitz breakoff when you have to step up and you have
get
to step
hit by
up
a big old
linebacker that's coming in to attack your quarterback.
Yeah,
and so it's a lot goes into it. And like I said, man, we'll see what happens, man. But like you said, they don't get a chance to ease into it. They start off from day one playing a tough opponent in Auburn, so they're going to get tested right off the bat. And you have to be able to spill your running back. So Bryson Washington, he can't play every down. So you have to have somebody to spill these guys, especially early in the season, because it's so much into getting in game shape. You can practice all you want to. You can practice 2 times a day, 3 times a day, and you can do all of this stuff. But, man, when you get in between the white lines, it's a lot different, especially those first 3 weeks, man. Your heart feel like it's about to – and I'm a receiver, and I'm a track guy. And football shape and track shape are totally different. And, man, it takes a while to get into football shape. I'm telling you, man, because you're playing, and you're playing 100% every down, and it's a physical sport. So Baylor doesn't get to start off easy, man. They're going to have to start off, with a tough Southeast Conference team in Auburn, and these guys are going to have to be ready.
Yeah, it's you don't get a chance to ease into this schedule, man. I'm still excited, though, about this season for the Baylor Bears, getting a lot more attention than I guess probably the last 3 or 4 years. And then starting off with a great schedule like this, man, I like it. I like to see competitive games, especially to start the season off. I mean, we get so many this year in week 1. I think even in week 0, they got the first time ranked teams have played in week 0. Kansas State and Iowa State are going to be playing in week 0. So, I mean, hey, we get a lot of competitive football to start the season off, and I like it that way. It's cool when you get to see some of these smaller schools, but we don't have to see Alabama versus Tarleton State the first week. We get a chance to see some real deal football as soon as they started off, man, and I can't wait to be able to watch some of these games. A couple more local topics here. MCC talked about their baseball team yesterday. Wayne, I know you're a baseball guy too, man. MCC's putting out a great product every single year for their baseball team. This year, their baseball class of 2025 that just played this last year put 16 players moving on to D1 universities from that team just last year. They do this each and every year, but just to read off, they've got 4 guys going to the SEC, 4 guys going to the Big 12. They got a couple guys going to the ACC. they got a couple of guys that are going straight to the MLB from MCC. When you talk about Jonah Conrad, he's going to the Mets, got drafted by the Knicks, and Alex Wallace, both 2 pitchers, getting drafted by the Rays, man. I mean, MCC does this every single year, but to see them put out this type of production from a JUCO team, I mean, you see JUCO teams, they have 1 or 2 guys go Power 4, maybe one guy goes to SEC. Putting 16 guys from one team out and then replenishing and doing the same thing the next year is always a super great feat, man. What do you think about MCC putting so many guys going to the next level?
Now, that's the definition of a powerhouse, man. I mean, that's getting some things done. And I think it was 6 pitchers alone on that list, man. Mm-hmm. So when you can put out that type of product, I mean, that means you'll have kids that want to come to your college and come and play for you because they know they'll get that opportunity to go to the next level. I mean, that is outstanding. I mean, on that level, on the JUCO level, to put out 16 guys going Division I or going Major League, man, that is, man, that's the definition of a powerhouse.
Yeah.
And it shows. It shows year in and year out because these guys are always in the JUCO tournament, national tournament, and playing for a championship on that type of level. So, I mean, kudos out to MCC, man, for continuing to do it. Not just now, but they've been doing it. So kudos to those guys. I mean, congratulations to those guys for being able to be consistent in doing that year in and year out and getting these guys off to 4-year colleges and creating different opportunities for these guys, man. And that's what you want to do. If you go into JUCO, you want to go JUCO for a couple of years, and then you want to move on, and you want to move on to a bigger and better college. And we're not talking about just small colleges like these guys going to Incoordinate Word or anything like that. You're talking about these guys going to Southeast Conference teams,
major schools.
Some of these guys, these teams that's competing for championships and these World Series, collegiate World Series championships. Some of the major powerhouses in NCAA college. So, man, congratulations MCC for continuing to do it year in and year out. That speaks volumes about your program, and no doubt in our minds, because we both from Waco, so we know that they continue to do it, and it'll be the same way next year because you want kids that want to come and they look at this and they read up on this. And social media now is so big to where they read this and they say, hey, man, they sent 16 guys. So you're going to get the best of the best.
Absolutely. Every single year, like you just spoke about, Wayne, they seem to do this. Like I said, athletic director Sean Chocum does an outstanding job out there with how she runs all of the programs because the basketball team is like this. The both basketball teams, the softball team is just like this as well. They got a new coach now for baseball as Coach Tyler Smith has moved on to DBU. But I expect it to stay the same because this is what we've seen from different coaches at MCC through different players. They still get that same amount of excellence. As I spoke about before, they're now debuting their volleyball team. Will be debuting in just a couple of weeks here as MCC is just not getting on volleyball. I expect the volleyball team to do the same thing, especially in the hotbed recruiting-wise like this in Central Texas. We got a lot of good volleyball teams in Central Texas. So they'll have a lot to be able to choose from. This is their first year doing it. I expect big things from this program, not just this year, but even moving forward, man, and all of their programs at MCC. So definitely shout out to them. And shout out to that baseball team, man, the Bosky Boys, what they call themselves. Shout out to the Bosky Boys, man. They putting guys into the league, putting guys in the D1 schools repeatedly every single year. So definitely have to give a shout out to those guys. While we're talking some college sports, still want to talk about, Wayne, your Texas Tech Red Raiders, man. They're back in the news. They signed a number 1 player in the class of 2027. The athlete Guyton, LaDamian Guyton, will be headed to Texas A&M. Number 1 player in the class for 2027, man. They continue to do it. We watched them in softball this past softball season do what they do this summer. Everyone's talked about the money they spend on their football team. Now we're looking at them even getting on the high school recruiting side, bringing some of these guys in. They keep doing it, Wayne. What's going on out there in Lubbock? It's got all these guys going.
Whatever it is, it's green. I can tell you that, man. It's money, man. It's money. I mean, now you level the playing field for these guys
Yeah.
and when you talk about Texas Tech, you talk about these rich oil tycoons that come in and bring this money in, and man, they can afford to pay them. And then you got guys like Patrick Mahomes, who they put over the NIL stuff, and he's dishing out money, but money rules college football now.
Yep.
So as long as you spending that green stuff, man, you're gonna be able to get these type of guys, man. Yeah. And Joey McGuire is a great recruiter anyway.
Yes,
I mean, I mean, if you talk to this guy, he can hold your attention. And a lot of people can say things, but he's one of those guys that say things and you listen. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of things going one ear and out the other, and you sit there and you listen to a person talking, you say, man, okay, whatever. But he's one of those guys when he talks, you listen.
Yeah.
And so he's able to hold these guys' attention. They like him, and he's a hell of a recruiter. And so he's going to continue to get guys, but he has to win. He's going to have to win. When you're spending this type of money, then the expectations change and they get a lot higher. So the expectations are big out there.
Yes.
And,
yes, they are.
in West Texas, I mean, you rank 24th in the country, 23rd, somewhere in there. And you're spending money, you're going out in the transfer portal and spending money, and now you take that over to the high school level, and you're starting to get these top recruits in high school. So when the expectations are that big, you have to win. And when you're spending money like that, you have to win. Nobody wants to spend money and lose.
No.
So you're gonna have to win, and that's the things that they expect now at Texas Tech is a win. And I'm one of those alumni that I talk to guys, former players, and people that still live there. And man, the expectations are high. And when you spend money like that, you have to win.
Spend the amount of money they spend, everybody's going to be expecting some W's on the end of that schedule, week in and week out. Like you said, man, this Tech team's got to win. I love it for them getting this guys because, like you said, it levels the playing field. We got to see for, 10, 15, 20-year stretch where just this guy goes to Alabama, sits for 2 years, doesn't even play, and then all of a sudden breaks out junior, senior year. Those days are over with. 5 stars are not going somewhere where they're going to sit on the bench for 3-4 years, 2 or 3 years. They're going somewhere where they can play. This guy's going to get a chance to play and get paid. He's expected to make $900,000 as a freshman when he does get to Texas Tech. That's just that's already his projected pay.
And right now they're saying that Texas Tech has the #1 recruiting class from next year. You know?
Yeah.
So
when you get the #1 player, that helps out with that a lot.
Yeah.
Because now he's going to talk to his homeboys that are ranked to say, hey, we can do something.
Went out and got Chase Campbell from
yes, they did.
Right down the street, a kid that was here in Waco.
Mm-hmm.
Man, he's gonna be tremendous for him too. And they're going out getting some ballers. So, man, and I know he didn't come cheap either. So
no,
they out there spending money. Continue to do what you do, Red Raiders, man. But hey, man, we're gonna expect some wins. We're gonna expect some big bowl games. We're gonna expect to be in the playoff series, the top 8,
top 12,
the top 12. That's what it is. So, man, with money comes big expectations. So, hey,
absolutely, they're expecting a lot out of them this year. This is almost a prove a year, not just for Tech, but just for this model in college football. Other teams are watching too. Like, okay, if we pay a bunch of guys, they transfer in because most of these guys aren't going to be homegrown. They had to get into the transfer portal because if you're a smaller school like Tech, you got to get into the transfer. Like we seen what Baylor do. You got to get in the transfer portal. You can't just depend on all your homegrown talent because the 4s and 5 stars are going to Ohio State and Alabama and Florida State and Texas. So you got to get in that transfer portal. Will this model work? That's what everybody around the country is waiting to see. Mm-hmm. Can you bring in guys from a little bit of everywhere, pay a bunch of top-end guys to come in and play? I said it yesterday when we were talking about Tech. A lot of this is going to depend on Morton, the quarterback. He's got to be the driver of this ship. We know Joey McGuire is doing his job. He's getting the guys in there, and he's getting these guys ready and prepared to be able to play. Now, what is Morton going to do? Bailey's got to come in and be an instant impact on the defensive side of the ball. They got him from Stanford. He was their biggest recruit that they got in the transfer portal coming in from Stanford. He's got to come in and be dominant in this Big 12 and show that he can play on this level too as well. So I'm super excited to see the Red Raiders, man. They get a chance to ease in a little bit to the schedule. They get Pine Bluff week 1, and Kent State after that. But once their Big 12 play starts, they got to come on with it. They got Utah right away.
And last year we had a problem with Pine Bluff last year.
Yeah.
So those are one of those teams that you got to go out and you got to dominate and you got to beat up on. And so it's going to be all eyes on Texas Tech this year to see if they can get it done. Like you say, it's going to be a model. Like, you know Ohio State can do it. You know Texas can do it. You know A&M can do it. Mm-hmm. But now Texas Tech is going to be that prototype for if we want to do it at TCU, if we want to do it SMU is doing it. Mm-hmm. But do we want to do it at all these other schools, Kansas State, do we want to start paying guys and bringing guys in and getting all our big alumni on board with that millionaire alumni and get these guys in and create these type of clubs like Texas Tech has and start paying these guys money to start winning?
Yeah, that's going to be the big test, man. So the Red Raiders are on the clock with that. There's some other teams you named in there, SMU, some of these other schools that have spent money in this transfer portal. You're a smaller school, but now you're getting your opportunity, especially with it being 12 teams now that can get in. We watched Boise State got an opportunity last year. SMU got an opportunity. The Arizona State, these are schools that you would never think get an opportunity to compete for a national championship. All those guys got a chance to compete. Who's going to be this year's Boise State? Who's going to be this year's SMU that makes a break into it? Indiana got a shot at it last year as well.
No doubt.
So there's going to be teams that have a chance to do that. I want to you talked about a couple of the teams on there, but this new top 25, the official top 25 that came out. We talked about the coaches poll last week, but we know that was the unofficial poll. Now the official rankings have come out this week for where these guys are going to be slated at. Texas is really the only constant as they stay at number 1. Both the coaches felt like that. Now with the AP poll coming out, they feel the same way. The one change, Penn State now at number 2 instead of Ohio State. Ohio State is going to start the season off ranked number 3. Rounding out the top 10, you got Clemson at 4, Georgia at number 5, Notre Dame at 6, Oregon at 7, Alabama at 8, LSU and Miami round out the top 10 at 9 and 10 there. Wayne, when you look at some of these, and I'll let you look at this one, you look at some of these guys that in this top ranking, like we said last week, none of these really mean anything because this is all preseason. All these guys can come out and lose week 1, and this whole thing will look different in just a couple of weeks. But looking at this top 10 ranking, only a couple tweaks and differences from the coaches poll that they put out last week. Do you feel like they got a majority of these right, or somebody needs to be higher or lower sitting on this list?
My deal is about Penn State being number 2.
Same thing I said yesterday.
Penn State being number 2. Penn State has the last 4-5 years they gone into the season, and then you pit them against Michigan, they can't get the job done. You pit them against Ohio State, they can't win the big game.
No,
and they're in front of the team that's been dominating and beating them for the last few years. And then Oregon, the same thing is they're ahead of Oregon. I think Ohio State and Texas. I think Texas and Ohio. I think it should be Texas and then Ohio State, and then they're going to play the first game of the year. So then that's going to determine who's really going to be the number 1.
Yeah.
But other than that, none of this means anything. Like me and you discussed last week, none of this means anything until we get into about the 6th, 7th week of the season, and some of that head-to-head competition. And how these teams do against other teams. Are they going to be dominant or they're not? Like you say, it's always a few surprises. Like SMU, snuck up into it all last year. Indiana, was a team you didn't think would be in there, and they were. So who's going to be those teams this year? So none of this means anything, but right now. But this is what you have to go off of. I mean, it's something that happens every year. Every year that college football, you have to have this top 25, and it's going to change. It's going to change by leaps and bounds. We'll come back to this. We'll keep this, and we'll come back to this at the end of the year and say, Man, 3 of these teams not even in the top 25 anymore.
I think last year 11 teams that started off ranked didn't finish the season ranked.
Yeah.
So that goes to show you how different it goes from the season starting and from how this time the season ends.
And these are just projections.
Yeah.
These are just projections. So it's good for the fans and for the people, the alumni, where they can go around and brag the first couple of weeks and they can say, well, we're ranked 9th or we're ranked 10th. But you always expect Alabama to be in the top 5. They 9, they 8, and Georgia's going to be there. Clemson's right where they want to be. I think Miami is too high. Miami is high. Yeah. So
Illinois is high in my opinion still, and being at number 12. It's the Big Ten is tough, man. It's just to rank those guys because they're so top heavy. They got 3 or 4 teams at the top that can beat a lot of people, but that other 4 through 16 gets kind of shaky in there when you talk about the teams in the Big Ten. I'm like you though. I think Ohio State should be in front of Penn State, and I also think Clemson should be in front of Penn State because Penn State, even last year, they made it into the college football playoffs ranked high. They didn't even play in the Big Ten championship game, so they got to escape another loss there. They only played one big important game against Ohio State. They lost like they do every single year. I don't get it with Penn State. They beat up on Northwestern and Maryland and Rutgers all season long, and they only play 2 big games every single year, Michigan and Ohio State. Last year, they beat Michigan, but Michigan only won 7 games last year. They played Ohio State and lost. To put them in the top 2 is crazy to me. I wouldn't have put them in the top 3. I get it. They're bringing back both their running backs. They're bringing back Drew Aller is coming back as well. So I get that kind of stuff. But I'm not putting it. I think Clemson is going to be one of the best teams in the nation this year.
Yeah, James Franklin just hadn't gotten it done.
No, he hasn't. For 10 years, it's been this.
And let me ask you a question. I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 2 coaches that high-profile coaches. One from Colorado.
Yeah.
And the other one in North Carolina, University of North. Do you think they'll play themselves into one of these?
I think Colorado has an opportunity to play themselves into this. I'm just not sold on North Carolina. I haven't seen much. They didn't make that much of a splash in the transfer portal. They lost really good players like Amari Hampton, who's on your Chargers. They lost some really good guys on both sides of the ball. And then in the ACC, they kind of treat the ACC like they do the Big 12. You're going to have to prove it to us. You're going to have to get 5, 6, 7 wins before we decide to put somebody in there.
Right.
So I don't see North Carolina getting in there. Colorado has a shot to. I'll say that. They have a shot to get into this top 25, but they start out a season where they can't come into it jogging either. They got Georgia Tech week 1.
Right.
They got to come out and play right away.
Right.
This is Coach Sanders' first time we're seeing him coach without Shedur and Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
We've never seen him coach without those 2 guys in college football.
I think Prime going to be 0-1 after the first.
After Georgia, you think Georgia Tech is sneak up on them?
I think Georgia Tech going to beat them.
And Georgia Tech bringing back some dudes too.
Yeah. Georgia
Haynes
Tech
King is coming back.
Yeah. They ain't nothing to play with.
No,
so.
this is going to be a big game in that week 1. They started on a Friday night just like Baylor does. So these guys are going to come out and prove it right away. But, man, we don't know anything about this top 25. Like you said, this is for the fan base. Just for guys to say, oh, we should have been 17. We're 19. We should have been this. The voters every year, they seem to find a way to leave the Big 12 out of it. They only put a few teams from the Big 12 in that top 25. But the next 3 teams in a row outside of the top 25 in their ranking is BYU, Utah, and Baylor, all Big 12 teams. So they didn't want to give them Boise State being a 25. I'm like, okay, the only guy we can name from Boise State from last year is Genty, and he's on the Raiders. So them being a 25, okay, I get it. But some of these other teams, it's like, you could have put those guys in those spots. I think Indiana should have been in front of Illinois. Illinois is one of my sleeper teams, but them being a 12, I think it's kind of ranking them high.
Yeah,
we know the voters love the Big Ten, man. They like putting even though majority of the Big Ten is sorry, they got Penn State, they got Oregon, they got Ohio State, Illinois and Indiana are okay, but they got 18 teams, I believe, in their conference. Majority of those teams aren't good at all.
And you just think about a bunch of these teams from Southeast Conference.
Yeah.
And the Big Ten.
Yep, that's what majority of this list is. The SEC and Big Ten. Yeah. They sprinkled in a little bit of ACC with Clemson and Miami. They put SMU way at the back. I kind of get it. SMU fell off. They lost a lot of guys to the draft this year as well. But I expect SMU to have another good season.
But my sleeper team in the SEC is South Carolina. I think South Carolina.
North Sellers,
what they did defensively, and then they got offense that's going to be relevant with the quarterback coming back, and if they can get some playmakers on the outside and they can run the ball, I think they're going to be great.
South Carolina is one of my favorite teams to watch, man. I love Lenore Sellers coming in. They got some young dudes in the SEC this year that's going to have to play. Lenore Sellers, he's got more experience because he played last year, but we're going to get to see DJ Lagway as a starter for the whole season this time instead of just in pieces. We're going to get to see Arch Manning as a starter for the whole season and instead of just in pieces. So we'll get to see how some of these other guys do. Georgia is one of those teams.
Carson Beck going to Miami.
Beck going to Miami is
and I think that's
interesting.
I think that's the only reason they ranked 10th.
I agree. I think that is the only reason that they are ranked.
But they
10th.
Paying some money over there.
They are. They paying money. They got some guys coming in
that's
getting some bread now.
Yeah.
I definitely do believe that Carson Beck being one of them. He got a pretty decent check to come over there and play. And I'm sure he was cool to get out the SEC. You gonna give me $5 million to lead the SEC? I'm cool with that. I don't got to get hit by Alabama and all these other dudes every single year. But Georgia, they're bringing back Gunnar Stockton. We only got to see him play in the playoffs last year because that's when Carson Beck got hurt. What is he going to look like out there as well? So there's some storylines going into this year of who we're going to see. Michigan, I feel like they kind of threw Michigan in there just because. But with how their offense looked last year, and they probably going to start a true freshman at quarterback, we got some things we got to see first before I just say they're a top 15 team.
Rebuild mode, for sure.
They're in rebuild mode after Harbaugh done left, man. They trying to get more. They're trying to get past all these allegations they got against their program, the stealing signs and all type of stuff as well. So we'll see how they go into. I want to take a look at some more football here while we're talking about. Just finished talking about some football. The Big 12, their football season is going to be getting aired on TNT. We saw TNT lose their basketball there. Now Turner Sports and all those guys, Shaq and Ernie and Chuck, they'll be on ESPN this season. But they're making some splash in college. I think they're going to have Big 12 basketball is going to be on Peacock and NBC. And now Big 12 football is going to be airing some games on TNT this year. So, this about every 10 years or so, they start changing around who's going to be those powerhouses in TV, who's going to get the bulk of the games. ESPN is always a constant. Fox is always a constant. Those are the guys that are going to stick around. But after that, guys are going to start, positioning themselves to change things around. Now they're going to be on there. What I noticed about some of their crew is they didn't get any Big 12 guys to talk about the Big 12.
They got Victor Cruz.
Champ Bailey, and Takeo
Yeah.
Spikes. These SEC guys outside of Victor Cruz.
Yeah. So I don't know what that's about.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
And I immediately, that's the first thing I noticed, So how can these guys talk about a conference that they have? If you have a guy that's in the Southeast Conference Network, he's one of those guys that played in the Southeast Conference. Mm-hmm. Well, you didn't even go and get any guys that played in the Big 12.
No, that's what I'm like, what are we doing for if this is supposed to be our Big 12 right now? Nobody was available.
It's a guy from Waco that does football for Texas, Quan Cosby, that would be great for that.
Yes, would have been perfect for it. Would have been able to explain the Big 12, played in it at its peak of it being the Big 12. When Texas and A&M and Nebraska and all those guys was in it. He played in it. That would have been a great guy to throw out there. I've seen Vince Young doing a lot more TV. That would have been a great guy to throw out there. I know Texas is in the SEC, but still, these Georgia ain't never been in the Big 12. You got Champ Bailey in there. Auburn ain't never been in the Big 12. You got Takeo Spikes in there.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm trying to figure out how did they figure. And then some of their commentators are some football guys. They got Mike Golick Jr. These are Notre Dame guys.
Yeah, Notre Dame. Exactly.
Wasn't nobody in the Big 12 available. They just not doing media this year. That was my only thing.
We didn't consider that. We just considered some guys that's done a little, been analysts a little bit, and has had some great careers in the NFL, and we just gonna bring them aboard because Takeo Spikes, I think, was ESPN at one point.
Yeah, on SEC Network. Him and Champ. They were both SEC Network last year.
And Victor has done some NFL stuff on some networks. So, and he didn't have staying power there. So you gonna recruit him and bring him over to TNT to do Big 12 games. But I mean, we'll see how it works, man.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
We'll give him a chance.
Yeah,
We'll give him a chance.
We're gonna watch it. We're gonna watch it regardless, see what's going on because we love Big 12
but
football.
they've never been on a Big 12 campus, and that's what kills me.
Yeah, it kind of dampers it down a little bit, but we'll see how it starts out for the beginning of there. Yesterday, I did 3 sleeper teams I think that could sneak into the college football playoffs, and I want to see is there some teams that you want to add to this list or that you want to take off of this list. I think at 3, I put Oklahoma. I think they did a good job revamping their roster. Their defense, they're bringing back a lot of their good defensive guys, but getting John Mateer from Washington State to play quarterback, I think is going to be huge for them. Bringing in Jaden Knott at running back out of Cal, I think that's going to be big for them. You know, the Oklahoma, they're a team that a lot of their struggles were because of the offensive end last year with Jackson Arnold, who's now at Auburn, and a lot of those guys that were on the offense have moved on now. Now bringing in a guy like John Mateer, I think is going to help this team a lot and can revamp them. At number 2, I had Illinois as my sleeper team. And Illinois is doing a lot of big things. That's why they got ranked so high at number 12. I think they're bringing back the most starting production out of any Power 4 school coming back. But it wasn't just because I think Illinois is a dominant team, mainly just because they're in the Big Ten. You're gonna play if you can avoid Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State. Mm-hmm. Then the rest of those guys, I'm sure you can beat up on. That's how we saw Indiana get into the playoffs last year. The only big-name team they had to play was Penn State and Ohio State. They lost both of those games, but were still able to get in because they dominated the rest of their competition. And then my last sleeper team was I put Baylor in there. That was me being kind of a homer on that one. But if you win the Big 12, you get in. Baylor is one of those teams that's in the Big 12 that's got an opportunity to win, right with Kansas State, Arizona State, Tech. They're all right there at the top for those teams that can win the Big 12. The Big 12 is the most wide-open conference in Power 4. The ACC is pretty open, but we know Clemson's going to dominate. We know Miami's going to dominate. The SEC is just a monster. Every single week you're going to play a top 25 ranked team in the SEC, and then I just talked about the Big 10. So I think Baylor has an opportunity to sneak in there as one of those teams to win the Big 12, and if you win the Big 12, you get an automatic bid into the college football playoffs. What are some other teams that you would think that you could put on there or a team that you would take off of that list as far as a sleeper team that can sneak their win?
One of my teams that I've already mentioned them. Mm-hmm. I mentioned South Carolina. I think South Carolina. Yeah. It just depends on how their schedule matches up. Mm-hmm. But then if you win those big games against Georgia and Alabama, and you get some momentum going, you can get in that and you can get in the tournament. Yeah. One of the other teams is Florida State.
Yeah,
me.
Yeah. I like Florida State.
Florida State did some good things last year, and the year before they didn't even get in, or was it last year?
That was 2 years ago. When they went undefeated.
They went undefeated and didn't get in, and I think they're carrying on that momentum and so Florida State is another one of those teams that I like. Yeah. And I think and Baylor is too. Mm-hmm. Baylor is a team that played better than anybody at the end of the season last year. Yep. And if they can carry that momentum from last year into this year, I think they'll be great. And another team is LSU.
LSU's got a great shot.
LSU played horrible last year, but they're one of those teams that's traditionally good.
Had a great offseason.
Had a great offseason. And I think I think their coach is under a lot of fire and under pressure this year. So Definitely. He's going to have to go out and get things done. So I think he's going to go all out. And so those are I know you said 3, but those 4 teams that I think can sneak into those college football playoffs.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. LSU and South Carolina. Those are 2 teams that it's just they're in the SEC. That's the only thing that will make you be like, okay, they wouldn't. But the talent-wise, South Carolina's got it. Obviously, Lenore Sellers, one of the best quarterbacks coming back. Dylan Stewart, one of the best defensive players in college football as a true sophomore going into this year. And same thing with LSU. LSU had a lot of holes on their team last year and still managed to win 7 or 8 games. They got one of the only teams in the offseason that went out and addressed every level of the defense, every level of the offense. They bringing back a lot of receivers. We never got to worry about receiver at LSU. That's one position we know LSU. Is going to be good.
That's receiver you right there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's one thing. Garrett Nussmeier, I think, might be the best returning quarterback in the SEC coming into next year. You pair him with all the guys they brought in. They got Braxton Berry that they got from Kentucky coming back in to join that receiving core. Nick Anderson leaving from Oklahoma, joining that receiving core. The DBs that they brought in, they went out in the transfer portal and went heavy on DBs.
Yeah,
that's what they were weak at.
They were weak, man. They were getting beat, man. Oh, they were getting that was
every single week they giving up.
City. You see somebody running down the field, man.
Every week, and they went out and got 2 safeties in the transfer portal, 3 corners in the transfer portal. Got the number 1 corner in the nation to come sign on there as well. So, man, they went out and addressed the positions they needed. Brian Kelly has to put this together. He's going to put that sense of urgency on this LSU because LSU is one of them schools, they'll run you out of there. Yeah, Coach O won a national championship. 2 years later, he was gone. Yeah, and he's homegrown from Louisiana, worked up his way as an assistant all the way to the head coach, and they got rid of him. So, Brian Kelly, you don't stand a chance if you don't get it together.
Well, he got rid of himself.
He did. Yeah, Coach O, he did. Coach O got rid of himself as well. He definitely did. He has some other stuff going on.
Their patience their patience on coaches, man, is very slim. You got that 2-3 year window, and if you're not winning, you out there.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be a big year for Brian Kelly, and I think they'll get it done. I'm telling you, they one of my biggest sleepers. Them in South Carolina, like I say, Florida State. Another team is Utah. They were hampered by quarterback play last year, and now they got their quarterback back, and I think that's gonna make a difference because I think they were a team that could have won the Big 12, but they just didn't have an experienced quarterback. And when you go into a season and you're depending on one guy, and
a true freshman,
it's tough.
Wilson, This year bringing in Dan Pierre from New Mexico State, he's gonna be a guy. There's a guy with a lot of athleticism, a lot of pop. Whenever you watch his film, you put him into that offense with Utah. We know they can run the ball. You know they're gonna have some big Samoans on the offensive line and the defensive line. So you're gonna have to go out there and fight with them every single week. Utah is definitely another one of those teams. You talked about what's his name, Brian Kelly being on the hot seat. LSU was a couple more teams in the SEC that I think are like that too. Alabama being one of them. Kalen DeBoer. I know last year was your first year, but Nick Saban is a big shadow to come behind. You go out here and have another season. They've got not quarterback issues, but they have quarterback questions. Obviously, they got Keelan Russell from Dallas, from Duncanville, who's number 1 quarterback in Texas, but he's a freshman. You bring in Ty Simpson, is who they're saying is going to be the quarterback most likely to start it out. But Kalen DeBoer, you got to get wins at Alabama, or you're going to be finding yourself looking for a job out there.
And he's going to get it. He's going to get a pass, for sure, because now you're changing systems. You changing system, and you're trying to bring in your type of personnel to get the job done. So they'll give you 2 years to do it. So you had last year to do it, and you got this year to do it, and next year is going to be his critical year. And if he can't get it done next year,
you're going to be looking for a new job, man.
He might be back at Washington State.
Yeah, exactly. He might be right back over at Washington. But the college football season is right around the corner, folks. I cannot wait. Like we've talked about, it kicks off here in Waco August 29th as Baylor will be taking on Auburn. But week 0 actually giving us a good game. Last year we had to watch Florida State versus Georgia Tech, which nobody wanted to watch. But we get to watch Iowa State versus Kansas State, which is going to be a pretty good game to start the season off this year. So that's just a couple of weeks away. Yeah. Conference game, too, at that, to be able to play. So just a couple of weeks away. Super excited about that. I want to switch over and talk about some NFL while we got some time here left to go on the show. We spoke earlier about, obviously, what the Cowboys going on and what the Cleveland Browns have going on. But everybody's playing the preseason, and want to talk about some of these other teams that have some things going on as well in the NFL. First off, want to talk about some teams that I like to do my contender or pretender segments here as we go throughout the season. Want to just as we start the season off, these are just some, like we said before, we don't know what's going to happen this upcoming season. You got injury, you got all these different factors, just some projections. We want to talk about a few different teams as we go through, get ready to start the season in just a couple of weeks that you can see. These are playoff contenders too that I'm talking about that we can see moving forward into this season. The first name on the list is the team that I said I think had the best offseason out of everybody in the NFL, and that's the New England Patriots. Yes, they'll have a young quarterback with Drake May out there, but the amount of additions they made, I think they made some huge additions in the DB room. They went and made a big splash, getting Milton from the Eagles, paid him a bag to come be on that defensive line, along with some other guys that they've got out there on the defensive line as well. They go and pay a Stephon Diggs and bring him into the fold to help out Drake May and that young core. They drafted Travion Henderson out of Ohio State, who we saw took the first play of the game to the house in preseason on the kickoff return. They got a lot of buzz going on in New England. Mike Vrabel, like I said, he's no slouch as a coach whatsoever. I loved him in Tennessee. I was mad that we couldn't keep him on the Texans when he was our defensive coordinator for us. I think he's a great coach, and now he gets to go to where he played for, where he bled and sweat at out there in New England. What do you think about these Patriots, man? A contender or a pretender for the playoffs this upcoming season?
Definitely a contender.
Yeah.
I think a contender. I think they'll be better. I don't think they Super Bowl level yet.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see how it all works out. But they're definitely going to be a contender in their division. I think the only team that I think they'll beat Miami. I think they're better than Miami. I think Buffalo is going to win the East. But I think they'll beat the Jets. I think the Jets will be better too. But definitely contenders. I think they got a A1 coach.
Yes.
I think the quarterback is better. But they got better all the way around. I mean, the guys they brought in this year are guys that's going to be able to help them. Mm-hmm. And they competed last year.
They did.
They competed, and I think they're going to be better. I think they're going to be contenders. I don't think Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah.
But AFC East contenders for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think with all the additions they made, they almost going to sneak up on some people, man. The Patriots made a lot of additions on both sides of the ball. They shored up that offensive line for Drake May. They're giving him an environment that he can win in. They're not just sticking a young QB out there and saying, oh, let's see if he can play and try to find us some wins. They're giving him a run game. They're getting them receivers. All the stuff we've seen with Stephon Diggs in training camp in the preseason, he's killing people. Yeah. So they're giving him a true number one.
They surrounding him with guys that can play.
Yeah.
A receiver, running backs, offensive line. Mm-hmm. They got a tight end. Hey, we're not just going to depend on your arm. We're going to depend on our whole offense.
Absolutely.
And that's a great thing and that's a great situation to be in when you're a young quarterback.
That's a great situation to be in because we see so many of these young quarterbacks just get thrown to the fire. We just talked about the Jets. They do it to every quarterback they get. I think this year it'll be different with Aaron Glenn running the show. And Justin Fields, he scored in the one preseason drive they had this last week. I think it'll be different for them. But before, man, they just throw their quarterbacks out there to the wolves.
Zach Wilson, they just threw him out there, man.
Wilson, Darnold, Geno Smith, everybody. They just threw him out there and said, let's see if we can get us some wins. But creating an environment that can get you winning. We watched what it did for the Broncos last year. Bo Nix wasn't considered a guy to come out and just change a franchise around. But when Sean Payton puts them in positions to win,
you give me the weapons, man. I can do something with it. I mean, but you give me an arsenal. Mm-hmm. I don't just want a Uzi. I want hand grenades. I want everything, man. If I'm going to war, I want everything I can win with, man. So they're giving you an arsenal and things that you can do other than just go out and just use your arm to do it. I can hand the ball off and we can get the job done. Or I can throw to my tight end and we can get the job done. We're going to have a good defense. Yeah. And so they give you an arsenal and give you everything you need to go out and win the war. So.
Yeah, and that's exactly what the Patriots are doing. So that was definitely one of my sleeper teams for this year in the playoffs. Next team I want to talk about, the Chicago Bears. New coach. We just talked about the Patriots with a new coach. They're going to get Ben Johnson. He's supposed to be, brightest offensive mind in the league, all this kind of stuff. We saw what he was doing in Detroit. They were putting up 40 and 50 on people. They throwing screens to tackles and stuff like that, crazy stuff. But now you get with a young quarterback whose confidence got shaken last year, regardless of what he did in college or what they project him to do. His confidence got shaken last year. They started off 4-2, and then they lost every single game after that. Caleb Williams is a guy. Didn't play last week in the preseason. He's going to play this week in the preseason, I think. He's got a lot to prove coming into this year. Ben Johnson, a new coach, he's got a lot to prove to show that, hey, this wasn't just what I was doing on the Lions. I can take that over here. They made some good offseason adjustments. First off, getting guys on the offensive line. They go and get Joe Tooney, who I think has won 4 or 5 Super Bowls now with the Chiefs and with the Patriots. They bring him back over into the fold. They go and get Drew Dahlman, was the most expensive center on the market. They get him in and bring him into the fold. They've got a lot of young first-round picks on their offensive line. So they try to help him out there. The defense, they add some more guys out there on the defensive side of the ball. But they're playing in one of the toughest divisions in football. When you talk about the Minnesota Vikings, you talk about the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions, who won 14 games last year. That's the division they have to go into. What do we think about these Chicago Bears going into this year? Contender or pretender?
I think they're going to be pretenders. I think they'll be better, especially if they can get better on the offense side of the ball. Defense side, they were top 10 defense last year.
They were.
You know, even in that division with these powerhouse offenses, Minnesota, Green Bay, and Detroit, they were a top 10 defense. So I think they'll be consistent on defense, better on it just depends on the offense and what they can do offensive-wise. You bring in the best offense coordinator in the league. You hire him as your head coach, and you have a second-year quarterback who was the first player picked in the draft last year. So it's all going to depend on his development and then the development of that offense on how good they do this year. So, but I'm going to say pretender, and I'm going to say pretender because you had 3 teams in the division that went to the playoffs.
That won 10-plus games. All three of them.
And then the NFC Central, man, it's you talk about Minnesota, you talk about Green Bay, and then you talk about Detroit. Yeah. Detroit, the only thing they lost was their coordinator.
That's it. Everybody's coming back.
Yeah.
And they get Aiden Hutchinson back, who's hurt.
Green Bay, a young team that's only getting a year older. So now, and they didn't make no additions, but they didn't make no changes. They didn't lose anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Jair Alexander, and he was hurt all last year.
Yeah, he was hurt the whole year.
And so, I mean, and then Minnesota, the only thing you changed is your quarterback.
Yeah.
You got the same defense coordinator coming back where their defense was really great.
Lights out.
But you had the weapons around you. You had the weapons around you. You had the receivers. You had the running backs. And it's just plug and play now with the quarterback. And if he's matured and he's better, then you're going to have those same 3 teams. So I'm thinking Chicago's going to be better, but they're not going to be good enough to get into the playoffs because you still have to overtake those other 3 teams in your division.
Yeah, I'm agreeing. I got the same thing as pretender, and it's not really because I think they're going to be bad. I think they will be better than last year. They only won 4 games last year. I think they'll definitely be better than last year, but their division is too tough. If they were maybe in the NFC West or something, or the NFC South, one of the weaker divisions in the NFC, then maybe I'll give them a chance. But when you got to play Detroit twice, Minnesota twice, and Green Bay twice, you got a young QB that we're still trying to figure out what is he going to do out there, a new head coach, new system. I think that's a lot of variables to get over. I got him as about a 6 or 7 win team this year, and that's not going to be enough to get into the playoffs coming out of that division. So for that reason, I had to put him at pretender. Next name I want to bring up, the Cincinnati Bengals. They were right on the outside of the playoffs last year, won 8 games last year, had the worst defense in the league, had the best offense in the league. This year, it's probably going to be the same. They're bringing back most of the guys on the offense. Joe Burrow, the receivers coming back with Chase and Higgins. They get those guys paid. But the only good player they had on the defense last year, he doesn't get paid yet. They're still in contract dispute. They don't know what's going to happen with him. The first-round pick, they can't get him signed, is Shamar Stewart, a guy that didn't have any production in college, actually. And really, they just took him off of his measurables and stuff like that. So we don't even know the impact he was going to have on the defense. Their leading tackler in Jermaine Pratt, they released him. So I have no idea what's going to happen from the deep. Well, I do know what's going to happen. They're going to give up 30 points a game. With that being said, they might score 35 points a game. So the Bengals are such a yin and yang with their team right now. They're fighting their owner. Their coach is trying to figure out why they can't win a game in September. So there's a lot going on, but they still have that dynamic offense. Do you think that'll be enough for them to sneak into the playoffs this year?
Yes.
Cincinnati.
The thing about Cincinnati, they started off so slow last year, and they played better than anybody down the stretch.
Yeah, they did.
They almost got into the playoffs.
1 game away.
And so without that slow start, and they gave up 30 points a game, and they were still only one. But they missed their opportunity in the beginning of the year. And I do think that they have the most dynamic offense in the league when you talk about Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and then that running back that they had last year that played the last few games.
Yeah, Chase Brown. Yeah,
Chase Brown. I think he
great.
He played great. So you add him to that, man. I think they can go out and score 30 and 40 points a game. You won't be playing in any inclement weather in the beginning of the year. It'll only be hot. maybe a little rain or whatever, but it's gonna take a lot to slow those guys down, and I hadn't seen anybody do it yet.
Yeah.
So they were losing games 35 to 30, 38 to 35.
Both of the games in Baltimore, they scored 35 and lost.
And lost. So, I mean, you just think about that. And this year, they've been playing these guys early in the preseason because they want to get off to a fast start. But I think Cincinnati has what it takes to get into the tournament. They have enough. They have enough to get into the playoffs.
I think it's between Cincinnati and Pittsburgh is where I'm teetering on which one of those guys do I think is going to get in the playoffs. They could get 3 guys in. But we know the AFC is loaded. The AFC West got 3 in last year. It could be the North that gets 3 in this year for them. I got the Bengals getting into the playoffs this year just because of what you said. I think they start better this year. They start the season off with the Browns and the Jaguars. So those should be 2 games you got to say we've got to go out here and start the season off hot. They're making the emphasis on playing these guys in preseason. Especially the offense. They know this is all we got. Defense is just going to be, can you do what you can do? This is all we got is our offense. If we get our offensive guys in rhythm with each other, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow look like they've mid-season already in their first preseason game. So that's going to be a scary sight. I think they beat the Browns. I think they beat the Jaguars. That start gives you a better start. And then in week 3, they got the Vikings, which is a team we're going to have to wait to see what do they look like. They're bringing back a lot of guys, but they do have a new quarterback going in that. So, yeah, I got Cincinnati getting in. I think maybe in that last wild card spot, they sneak in. They won 9 games last year. I think they can get at least one more out of the apple, squeeze one more out of this and get to 10 wins this upcoming season. The Miami Dolphins is the next team I have on the docket. This is a team that's went from, 11 wins, I think 2 years in a row. Last year, just keep falling off. Your quarterback and your receiver beefing with each other. Tyreek Hill at the end of last year says, I'm not going to be a Miami Dolphin. He apologizes. Then Tua comes out at the start of training camp this year and says, you can't just apologize for that. You got to do more than that. So I'm like, okay, if your 2 best offensive players not even on the same page with each other, Tyreek Hill's name is in trade rumors. The defensive side of the ball has only gotten worse. Jalen Ramsey is now a Steeler. Bradley Chubb didn't turn out to be what they thought he was going to be after they paid him all that money to come from Denver. So they've got a lot that they're battling against. For that reason, I have them as pretenders, man. My main reason for that is I don't think Mike McDaniels is a good coach. Last year, I know Tua didn't play. But you had all those guys on the defensive side of the ball that were healthy. All those guys on the offensive side of the ball. You had Devin Achane and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. And you can't squeak out more than 3 or 4 wins without your quarterback. You couldn't get a win without Tua. They didn't win a game. Yeah. They lost some games 10-6. Yeah. For that reason, I got to be out on them. I'm out on Mike McDaniel. I'm out on Tua, and I'm out on the Dolphins.
Yeah, no doubt. And I just don't see – they don't have the offensive line to keep him upright and to keep him healthy. And you see what they did without him. Like you say, Tyreek Hill, I just think they need to trade him. Mm-hmm. It's too much beef. It's too much turmoil going on between the quarterback and the receiver for it to be loved. I know wins solves a lot of things. If you go out and win, it's solved. But I just don't see them winning. And when you lose, then that creates bigger turmoil.
Yes.
So no, I see them taking another step back. I see New England taking a step above them. I even see the Jets. I see them getting last in their division pretty much. They say McDaniel's supposed to be an offensive guru type guy. And I think they averaged like 14 points a game, and you still had Tyreek Hill, and
Waddle, all these guys,
Waddle
Achane.
So when like I always tell you, NFL is a copycat league, and once one team learn how to stop you, then everybody's gonna use the same blueprint. Yeah. It's just like building houses. It's like building houses, man. If somebody go in, they see this house and they like it and it's successful, and they see this layout and it's successful, it's the same thing. The NFL is the same way. It's a copycat league. They're going to use the same printout, the same blueprints that the other team used to beat you.
Yeah.
And everybody
That's exactly what they did last year.
The blueprint to beat the Dolphins. It's just to sit there, don't play man defense. because you're going to have guys running by you because they have too much speed. Let's play zone, let these guys catch the ball, and beat them up.
Yeah.
And put pressure on the quarterback.
That's all they did last year.
And that's what it was. And that's what it was.
We're going to set the edge. All their running backs is fast. They don't have no north to south running backs. All their running backs is sideline to sideline. We're going to set the edge so you're not getting to the outside of us.
Yeah.
We're going to sit in this zone, and Tyreek Hill going to have to run drag routes and all that. Ain't going to be no post.
You're going to sit down.
Ain't going to be no.
We're going to play deep safety where you can't get over the top. You're going to have to run scurries. You're going to have to run curls, square ends.
Yep.
And once you catch the ball, we're going to come up and hit you.
Yep.
And that's what it is. And on top of that, we can blitz you behind it. So the quarterback is rushing. Mm-hmm. You got to, so it's so many things that I just don't see them. The blueprint has been set.
Yeah, it's already been set out there. I don't think they have enough. They lost guys.
Then you lost Janu Smith.
Yeah, Jonnu Smith is gone.
Jonnu Smith went to Pittsburgh, I think.
Yeah,
so,
he's on Pittsburgh. And Ramsey, both of them gone to Pittsburgh.
So, you lost some of your more valuable guys, so they're definitely pretenders.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be the most competitive we've probably seen the AFC East in a while. So I don't see them beating. I don't think they're better than any of the teams in that division. Mike McDaniels, like you said, he's supposed to be this offensive guy, but when you go out there and go 2 weeks in a row and you don't score a touchdown, and you're just like, well, we don't have our quarterback. Well, a lot of teams don't have that quarterback. That's not an excuse for you not even scoring a touchdown. So we got to see what they're doing. Chop Robinson, one of their top picks from last year out of Penn State, he gets carted off the field in their preseason game at there. So the injuries mixed with the guys that they lost, man, I just don't see how they get over the hump. One of the last teams I have on here, the Carolina Panthers. This is a team that I have similar to the Chicago Bears. I think they're going to be better than they were last year. I think that Bryce Young, whatever the light bulb is, whatever, finally clicked at around the last 3 or 4 games of the season. He actually played some really good football. They have sneakily one of the best receiving cores in the NFC. They draft Ted McMillan first out of Arizona. They give him another big body out there. Xavier Legette had some ups and downs last year, but they think he's going to be good. Adam Thielen's coming back from injury, and they add Hunter Renfrow, who didn't play last year, who has been killing everybody in the slot all season. Their corner that they just paid, J.C. Horn, they asked him about him. He's one of the top-paid corners in the league, and they said nobody, including myself, has been able to guard Renfrow in the entire training camp. So you mix all those guys in together, their running game, they pay their running back last year. They got a solid running game with Chuba Hubbard now. They made some additional offensive line. I'm going to put them in the contender spot for the playoffs just because they play in the NFC South. Like I said, I think they're just like the Bears. They'll be better, a fringe playoff team. But because they're playing in the NFC South, and I don't expect anything out of the NFC South besides the Buccaneers, the Saints I have is the worst team in football, so they're going to get 2 wins out of the Saints there, and then maybe they can go out there and split with a team like the Falcons. I think the Carolina Panthers is one of those teams that could kind of sneak into the playoffs maybe, but I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't make it either.
I'm going to have them as pretenders.
Okay.
And my reason, Jalen, is because I don't think they're going to be able to protect
Bryce Young.
Yep. You can have all the skill positions and all that, all you want to, but if you can't protect, you're in trouble. I think the team to beat in that division is going to be Atlanta.
Okay.
And then you had Tampa Bay. I think those two teams. I think Tampa Bay is going to be the head of that whole division. I think the Saints is going to take a step back because they have a new coach and they don't have
no quarterback.
No quarterback. And so I think they are going to be better, but I don't think that they're going to be contenders. And I don't think they're going to be a contender for a playoff spot because you have so many good teams in the NFC. Like you said, you got 3 from one division. Then you got 2 here. I think Atlanta and Tampa. I think San Francisco is going to be better. Mm-hmm. Then you talk about the Rams, and then you talk about Seattle, and then you talk about Phoenix, the Cardinals, Arizona Cardinals, rather. So it's just I don't think they. I think they'll win more games. I think they'll be better, but I still think they're going to be contenders only because they can't protect.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to have some problems defensive wise too. And I think defensive wise they're one of those teams that really can't stop the run either. we'll see what happens.
It's going to be tough for him. Like you said, you can't stop the run out there. You can't protect. I know about that 0-2 well with my Texans last year. The talent on the outside don't matter if you can't protect nobody coming from right up the middle. It don't matter how good your quarterback is and none of that stuff. They're going to be a super interesting team as well. You touched on the last one I want to talk about, and that's the 49ers. Last year, we know what the 49ers can do when they're healthy. For some reason, they have the worst training staff in the league or something because every other season, the whole team gets hurt.
Yeah.
They pay Brock Purdy. They're bringing back McCaffrey, who, they're saying, he's looking great again. He's looking like his old self, but we don't know what McCaffrey until he goes out there and play just because they have to see. Debo's gone to Washington. Brandon Ayuk's coming off a torn ACL. Do the Niners have enough to be able to get over the edge? Because I think that they're bringing back some really good talent like usual. They pay Purdy. Now we're going to get to see, as Rocky said, is he a truck or a trailer? Which one with him now that he's gotten his money out there as well? They're in a division that's very competitive. I would have had the Rams winning the division. I had the Rams really being like the second best team in the NFC. But with Matt Stafford, you're 36 years old and you're going into the season with back injuries. The back injury is not a thing that gets better as you progress throughout the season.
Especially when you start taking them licks.
Yeah, you start taking them. And then they were saying he's getting epidurals and stuff like that. I'm like, man, that's not a regular thing you get to just go and play football. So I don't know how the Rams, I think they might end up falling off. Do you see the 49ers having enough to be back into being a contender?
Yes. And only because they have great personnel. They have a great line. They can run the ball. They got probably one of the best tight ends in the league. If Pearsall can come out and be a great receiver and they can get Jennings, and then they get Ayuk back in about the 7th and 8th. And they're going to always have a great defense.
Yeah.
So their defense is going to carry them. And I think they'll have just enough to get in. So I do think legitimately the 49ers are going to be contenders.
Yeah, I agree. I think with health, if they stay healthy for one, that's got to be the biggest thing. They got to stay healthy. And then with the Rams potentially taking a step back because of Matt Stafford, I don't know what to think about Seattle yet. And the Cardinals are still a work in progress. I think the Cardinals, they like the Panthers and the Bears to me. They'll be better, but I don't think it'll be enough to get over the hump. With all of that being said, I think the 49ers will be able to come back and get that first place spot again in their division, which will put them in the playoffs, man. So we'll see, though. Brock Purdy's got a lot to prove.
Yeah, he got a lot to prove. Yeah, he got a lot to prove. I still don't think he's an elite quarterback in this league.
Me either.
I think he's like one of those guys that's a system guy.
Yep.
That can just kind of get it done, and then you working with one of the best offensive coordinators in the league.
Kyle
Shanahan. Shanahan, it makes it simple for you. It makes they're a team that uses motion. So when a team uses motion, it causes the defense to declare. So it makes it reads a little bit easier. And I definitely think that. I think that he has to be better, and this is his third year, I think, third or fourth year.
Purdy, going into his fourth year, I believe.
Yeah, so going into your fourth year, so he's going to be better because of experience.
Yeah,
and I think that's enough to get them to be contenders and to be better. And I think he will be better. I think he will be better because you can run the ball. You have a line that can block for you. If you got a guy that can just sit back there and you can just toss the ball and you it's just throw and catch. You got probably one of the best offensive lines in the league.
Yeah.
You got a place to sit there and be comfortable and throw the ball.
Yeah.
And then you have a running back that can take that pressure off you as well. And they do play action and they do screens and this, that, and other better than anybody in the league. So I think they'll be contenders.
Yeah, I think they're going to find themselves right back in where they were before. It might not be in the Super Bowl, but they'll find themselves right back as the division leader, back into the playoffs. Once you get into the playoffs, it's just matchup. Anything can happen once you get into the playoffs. They made it.
And a lot of the NFL depends on positioning, but then it also depends on injuries. So you never know what one injury can turn the whole season around for a team.
And it did it to them last year. A couple of injuries here and there.
Yeah,
Next thing you know, they out the playoffs. They last place in their division.
Yeah, right.
So injury, that always changes everything in the NFL.
Dak got hurt last year.
Yeah, exactly.
Dallas was out of there.
Yep.
Dak played this year, it'll be a lot better because you know the transition. I want to say, who else got hurt last year and it changed the whole complexion?
We talked about the Dolphins. They were a team and they had a quarterback was hurt. Last year,
another one of those teams. So, man, injuries play a part. And Minnesota got lucky because they
Darnold was the
Sam
backup.
Darnold came back and played. Man, McCarthy was going in as the starter.
Yeah.
But this year, if he goes in and he has one big injury, you just never know.
Changes everything.
Injuries change it all. So we'll see what happens.
NFL season right around the corner. Just about out of time. I got one more I got to ask you, Wayne. You're a receiver, played in the NFL, so I got to ask you about the receivers. They were debating this online. These were some of the top production guys in the league last year, but it says to rank these 5 receivers, and I'll let you look at the list, but it's Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Malik Neighbors, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those are the 5 guys, and I want to get the expertise from somebody to play the position in the league. How do you rank these guys, 5 guys, 1 through 5?
For me, Jamar Chase is the best receiver in the league. Hands catcher.
Absolutely.
Physical. A 3-tier guy can catch it at the line of scrimmage, can catch it across the middle, and can go deep. Probably one of the faster guys of that group. Mm-hmm. He's that guy. Physical, but he can run out of tackle. So he's that guy for me. Justin Jefferson, same thing. A guy that a hands catcher, can get over, a 3-tier guy, can run after the catch. Yep. Good rack guy, but he's a tall, lanky type of guy, and he's not as physical as Jamar Chase. So that's why I picked Jamar Chase, because he's impact. Legs can run over guy and breaks out of tackles. CeeDee Lamb, he's one of those guys. 3-tier guy, can play in the slot really well, and or outside. A hands catcher, and he's just a little bit below Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, but a good guy, has been productive.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't catch a lot of touchdowns, but is a productive guy. For me, Malik Neighbors is a guy. His second year. From the first year to the second year, you grow leaps and bounds as a receiver, because you learn how to run routes, you learn the defenses, you learn how everybody's going to play you. So he's going to be better this year. So his potential is untapped right now. You know he has potential, but he has the potential to move up into one of those top 2 or top 3 guys.
Yeah.
St. Brown, to me, a guy that's in the slot, plays hard, can get open. Actually, I think it's some guys that's probably ahead of him that I would put as a receiver.
Me too.
So, but Nico Collins is one of those guys that I think could step up in there and be in there. Nakua is one of those guys. One of those physical guys that can play inside and outside. I think St. Brown is one of those guys you play on just in the slot.
Just in the slot, yeah.
So that's what does it for me, but that's my list.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, Jamar Chase is probably the best receiver in the league to me. A close second is Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
And CeeDee Lamb is just a little bit below, a tad bit below that. And Malik Neighbors is one of those guys that's potential and to move up into that, just depending on their sophomore year. These guys, all these guys have done it. The first, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Lamb, and St. Brown have been able to do it consistently for over 3 years. Yeah. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens.
No, I got the same list, man. I like the list. I got the same list, and I'm like you. I would have took Amon-Ra off. I honestly think A.J. Brown is a better receiver than him, because he proves to be an X consistently. He could be on the outside. You can move him around on there. He's a super physical. receiver every time they play. Like you said, Nico Collins, whenever he's healthy, the numbers speak for themselves. He's a monster out there on the field. He's a deep threat. They can move him inside. He's a physical, bigger receiver, 6'2", 6'3" type of receiver. Amon-Ra is a good guy, but I think system plays a big part in his production. And opportunity, they give him the ball a lot of time. And he caught 115 balls out of the slot, had 141 targets. Malik Neighbors is the only one out of that group that I think has the potential to jump the highest, because if you're getting 1,200 yards and you got Daniel Jones and Tommy DeVito as your quarterback, I think you could do just about anything. Everybody else has got elite guys throwing to them. We're talking about Joe Burrow throwing to Dak Prescott. These are elite guys throwing to the rest of these guys. Malik Neighbors doing it with just whoever they tried out there at quarterback, and I'm still going out there and getting my numbers. I'm like you, though. Chase is my number one receiver. Glad he had the year he had last year. I drafted him first in fantasy on my fantasy team last year because I was trying to tell people, I'm like, man, I know people like Jettas and what he can do, Jefferson, but Chase can do it all. As far as deep threat, he can go short yardage. He can do everything. Physical, receiver, route running, whatever you ask him to do, he can go out there and do it. I heard you bring up hands catcher when you said most of these guys on the list. I know that's a big deal for receivers. Are you a body guy, or are you a guy that actually going out there and catching the ball with your hands?
And all these guys are hands catchers. So, and every one of them is a great receiver. Mm-hmm. But to me, man, that receiver, you got Devontae Adams, who played in a system last year that wasn't great. You got Marvin Harrison Jr., which is going to be great. Yeah. I mean, you talking about, we'll see what DK Metcalf will do. Mm-hmm. We got guys. I mean, it's a lot of good receivers out there. And you ain't even talking about Tyreek Hill. We ain't even named Tyreek Hill in that list too. Brian Thomas had a great year last year as a rookie in Jacksonville. It's some guys that can get on there. Drake London got a lot of production towards the end of that season. Ended up with 1,200 yards. And then T. Higgins could be another one of them guys. Then McMillan could be one of those guys that can move up into that category too, man. It's just everybody has great receivers on the board. When you look at receiver play in the NFL, you have to have one dog out there, man. And I think everybody has at least one.
At least one of those. At least most of the teams have at least one of those guys out there. Some of them got 2 or 3 of them. If you're talking about the Bengals, they got 2 dogs out there. Same with the Eagles. They got Devontae Smith, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown out there as well. So it's a lot of teams out there. But those are just some of the guys that we like going into the season. Folks, we're out of time here today on Centex Primetime. We're talking more NFL the closer and closer we get. We're only 2 weeks away. High school football is starting here on August 29th, just a couple of weeks away from that. College football just a couple of weeks away. So it's football season here on Centex Primetime. As you can see, we got more and more football topics that's coming up as we get closer and closer. We want to thank everybody for watching with us here today, whether that is on YouTube. Make sure you guys go and check it out. Subscribe. We've got a lot of interviews we just dropped on there. Obviously, last week we had the athletic director of Colorado, Rick George, was on there. This week we had the interviews come out with some of the Baylor defensive guys, Jackie Marshall, Keaton Thomas, who's a preseason All-American. Go onto our YouTube and check that out as well. Also, make sure you guys go check out our website, CentexSportsNetwork.com. Go on there and check us out as we get ready and get ramped up for football season here in Central Texas, man. We got a lot to be able to covering all these high school teams and also covering all of MCC sports. So if you haven't already, go on there, subscribe. Free subscription, just need your name and email to get signed up for us. Go on there and get signed up. We'll be back here tomorrow, guys. Same time, same place here on Centex Primetime to close out the week. Want to thank Wayne for jumping on there with us here today. He'll be back with us next week as well. Thanks for everybody for watching. We will see you guys next time. Everybody have a great